Okay, so just recorded my reaction to the new Metallica single Lux Eterna off their new album 72 Seasons. Now, as we know, Lars is a character in the drum scene who seems to get picked on a lot. He's a polarizing character for whatever reason in the drum community. So here are my honest thoughts with regards to Lars and the whole situation that seems to just never end on social media with regards to drumming and Lars. So a couple of things that I often see in different forums, different Facebook groups, or different videos. Anybody could be the drummer in Metallica. I'm better than Lars. Or, of course, the good old Lars isn't very good, and I'll put Ringo Starr in this category as well as someone who, despite mind-blowing success, often referred to as either a bad drummer or critiqued, laughed at, in whichever way. Now, I will premise this video for full transparency that I've been there. I've been a young drummer and thought too highly of myself and wildly overestimated my own ability. Now, this flawed and naive thought process is probably best described by the Dunning-Kruger effect. Now, sorry to have to bring this up.
How dare you?
This cognitive bias is defined as the following. The Dunning-Kruger effect occurs when a person's lack of knowledge and skills in a certain area cause them to overestimate their own competence. By contrast, this effect also causes those who excel in a given area to think that the task is simple for everyone and underestimate their relative abilities as well. So, with regards to me, Nirvana, Dave Grohl on drums, they were a band that were really popular when I was in intermediate school and going up to high school, with all exceptionally popular things like clothing fads or music or bands or celebrities. It can become very cool to not like that thing, right? So I clearly remember thinking I was better than Dave Grohl. And then years, decades later, becoming a professional musician myself, I realized I wasn't. Now this is the Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay, so let's get back to these statements that I often hear repeated like a mantra until everybody believes them. Anyone could be the drummer in Metallica. Now, there's a major problem with this. An insurmountable hurdle that means you cannot be the drummer in Metallica. And this is a hurdle so big that you cannot even argue it. The reason, and it's a super important one, why you cannot be the drummer in Metallica is because they don't want you to be the drummer in Metallica. Now, I crack a lot of jokes on my channel. I clown around a lot. I try and provide education, but I'm being dead serious now. The number one qualifier to get a gig as huge as Metallica, we're talking about one of the biggest bands in the world, one of the biggest bands of all time, is that they need to want you in the band. Now, in order to want you in the band, in the situation where, let's say, Lars could not play or had left the band, Metallica are going to be auditioning drummers. It is going to be a who's who. It would be the most sought after gig in the world. Anyone could be the drummer in Metallica. I could be the drummer in Metallica. No. All right, now let's look at another one that I often see, and it's said multiple different ways, and sometimes it's said really rudely, and sometimes it's said very matter-of-factly. Lars isn't very good. Lars is not good at drums. Lars can't play. Lars can't play to a click. Lars can't do this. Lars can't do that. Okay, we may have to look at what success looks like for a drummer and for a band, and perhaps put what contributes to that success into different buckets. Now, the number one aim with any serious group is album sales. Let's face it. Metallica has sold more than 125 million albums worldwide, with over 65 million records in the United States alone. So just on that bucket, on that key indicator of, I guess, success, that you're selling albums, that you're a popular band that people enjoy listening to. They get a 10 out of 10. There's not many bigger bands in the world than Metallica, and there haven't been many bigger bands in the world than Metallica. Now, I know selling albums is not a be-all and end-all in terms of success and whether you are a good drummer or not. I know that. So let's check out the other buckets. Now, I'll get another controversial one out of the way quick smart. Money. Money, despite what people will have you believe, money is actually quite important in your career, and it's important in longevity, and having a long career, whether it's in music or whatever. Now, net worth estimated here for Lars is $350 million. Again, when we start measuring different buckets of success, this is a 10 out of 10. Not many drummers ever in the history of music have made more money than Lars. Now, I know what you people are thinking out there. I keep it real. I don't care about money or album sales. I play for my mum. Absolutely fair enough. Let's check out a different bucket that contributes to the ocean of success. Technically good. Is Lars technically good on the drums? Well, for me personally, I simply don't care.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
And you might think that's weird coming from a drum teacher. I simply don't care. I care about results. I don't really care how we get there. Technique, schmechnique. You don't have my hands, my arms, or my legs and my feet in terms of like hands and foot stuff. Slide, swivel, German, American grip, traditional. Who cares? Drummers care about that stuff. No one else cares. In terms of timing and all the other factors that go into whether someone is technically considered a good drummer, well, I think the amount of money and album sales alone, personally, I think that indicates that the person's proficient on the drums. If that's not proficient, I don't know what is. But if we're looking at it from a drum nerd perspective, I just don't care. He plays stuff on albums that I can't play, so I don't know. I'll give you this one and I'll go neutral. I don't care. 5 out of 10. It's an impossible thing to quantify because technique is only a means to an end, and the end is the music, and in this case the music is selling and selling out stadiums and making a lot of people very happy. So yeah, I don't know on this one. Okay, let's check out another bucket. Legacy, inspiring a new generation, or inspiring fans, inspiring people to actually play the drums. Now, when you've sold in the vicinity of 120 million albums, you have no doubt inspired a lot of people. For myself, bit of an inspiration to me in a way, although Metallica is not my favorite band, never has been, but they were always there, and always had a lot of respect for them. Those drum parts and songs like Enter Sandman and Unforgiven and Nothing Else Matters, iconic drum parts. So, the legacy is there. For as long as there is music, people will be listening to Metallica. So again, if we're rating each bucket out of 10, Legacy, this is a 10 out of 10 band because they would be one of the most inspiring in terms of the reach and how many people they got onto a drum kit. They're up there with anybody. I'm sure I'm missing some elements here that go into success, but I guess the other things we could talk about is, is Lars happy? Because that is a key indicator of success. It's not all about money, of course. Is he happy? Is he fulfilled in his life? Does he have the respect of his peers? I mean, that's always a nice thing. If you've got people who are in the same arena as you, do they respect you? Have you got good contacts, good relationships with everybody? Now, this is sort of getting into the fandom, celebrity area that I really like. Technique, I don't really take notice of. I don't closely follow even my idols. I don't closely follow what they're doing or what they ate for lunch or when they're on holiday. Again, I don't really care about that stuff, so I have to assume Lars is happy swimming in his money pit And I believe he's happily married with a family. And, he showed up on the Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins tribute, and he's there with the bros and helping out and doing his bits. So I've got to assume that he's held up in the highest regard, as anyone would be who's literally at the top of the game like this. Now, it's really important here to let you know that I'm not Lars's biggest fan. I'm not Metallica's biggest fan, but I do like to keep a level of respect for every drummer. I don't really like to see any drummer, whether they're good or bad or average or rich or poor, it doesn't matter. Like, we should be treating other drummers with respect. And when I see people coming out just taking a pot shot at a famous drummer, whether it be Lars or often it's Dave Grohl or more often again Ringo, I think it's these people are in such rare air of success. Part of that is because they're not just drummers, they're founding members of huge international acts, and they've made a lot of money. I believe a lot of jealousy comes into this stuff. Combine that with the Dunning-Kruger effect of people thinking they're better than these people, when that's not really relevant to anything. And of course, my number one argument on that, if Dave Grohl sucks, if Ringo sucks, if Lars sucks, please post a video. I don't mean that in a confrontational way. I mean, if you're that good, share a video. And these people never, ever have videos. Remember this Dunning-Kruger curve. When you do have proficiency on an instrument, you realize how much work had to go into that. And, you'll hear producers, Rick Beato's big on this. And I've got friends who are big producers and engineers, and they'll talk about how difficult it is to get a hit song. It is no picnic. It's no accident that these acts, the Beatles, Nirvana, Metallica, the groups that I've talked about, the drummers that I've talked about today, it's not an accident they're selling a lot of albums and they're big and famous and their name. It's for a reason. Another thought, I'm jumping all over the place here, but I'm pretty hot on this topic, as you can see. Another thought is the St. Angus snare. We all know the St. Angus snare. There's a whole bunch of memes about it. It just goes on and on. Now, I've just brought it up here. St. Anger is from 2003. Okay? So I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think that was for Metallica a big or even really notable album. I don't want to speak out of place here, but I don't feel like it was a big album in their overall legacy. Yet we all are talking about the St. Anger snare. Lars got us again. What other snare sound on an album comes up more than St. Anger? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about that. Well, the answer is none. No other snares are brought up as much as St. Anger. So people are talking and talking and talking about St. Anger, an album from 19 years ago. Lars got ya. Whew. All right, I'm going to have to cut this video off right here. But basically, be good, support drummers. My number one piece of advice to you is to turn things off. If you don't like it, turn it off. Taking pot shots at famous drummers who are wildly successful, just my opinion, not a very wise idea. Guys, take care. Catch you on the next one. Ciao.